welcome back, and I want to continue with this message of Israelites versus religion, and just to give you a better clarity, I guess, just to add a little bit on so you can have a better clarity of exactly what I'm talking about. And once again, when we talk about being Hebrew Israelites, we're talking about being part of a nation. We're not saying that Hebrewism is like you go into your Sunday churches or you go into your mosque and you do religion. Being an Israelite and a redeemed Israelite coming back to the Most High, meaning that you are now connected to a culture, which will connect you to a land, which will connect you to a language, which connect you to a history, which ultimately connect you to a heritage. That's why our organization and the work that the Most High has given us to do is entitled Israelite Heritage. Because once the heritage has been returned to the Israelites, then all things will be made clear. The covenant we made with the Most High, why we are in this situation, in this condition that we are in today, and just understanding the Most High's plan of salvation for mankind and how the Israelites play a critical role in that plan. John 4:22, Matthew chapter 15 verse 24, the Messiah said, I was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, does that mean that only the Israelites will get salvation? Not at all. What that means is this. He came to redirect the children of Israel back into the truth of the Most High, because the Most High called the children of Israel to carry His word to the other nations. So in order for the other nations to get the word from the true Israelite, first that true Israelite has to be brought into the word. And so all things are made to the Israelite first, and then to the nations, then to the Gentile, then to the Hamite, then to the rest of mankind. So that's what it means. We are a nation, not a religion, a nation. All so-called black people that got here during the transatlantic slave trade, you are descendants of the children of Israel. They took us all over the Western Hemisphere. According to Luke chapter 21 verse 24, the Messiah said that the children of Israel will be led away captive into all nations until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. That prophecy was fulfilled. The Arabs were taking us 1,000 years before the European came and started snatching us out of Africa. We got into Africa because 70 CE, 70 of the Common Era, the Romans, under the General Titus, and his father was the Emperor Vespasian, they came and they sacked and tore down Jerusalem. Now, there were some of our people that escaped. There were some that were captured and killed, and others were taken into slavery. And so this began that prophecy spoken of in Luke 21:24, that you shall be spread throughout the world, and you shall be led away captive into all nations. And so the Arabs in the 7th century began taking our people captive and spreading this throughout all the so-called Arab lands. There's a city in Iraq called Basra. And in Basra, there are black-skinned people that live there that look just like us. These are Israelites. They were brought there during the Arab slave trade. So the Arab was taking us 1,000 years before the European. In fact, he told the European, the Portuguese, about our people. And the Arabs told them, the Muslims told them, these are people that are predestined to be slaves. So you better go down there because they are cursed by the Most High. And the Muslims called the area where we lived at Yahudi, which means the tribes of Israel. And they told the Portuguese, so the Portuguese began their end of the slave trade, and they brought us into the entire Western Hemisphere. We were not only brought into North America, not only into the U.S. The U.S. got the least amount of slaves. There were more slaves taken into Puerto Rico, Cuba, Brazil, throughout the islands of throughout the entire islands, Caribbean and all that, and down in South and Central America. So we are the only people that can show by record that we have been brought into this hemisphere, and we have been spread throughout the nations in captivity, just as the Arabs was taking us, just as the European took us back 2,000 years ago, and the European even took us in the transatlantic slave trade, the triangular trade, because the trade went from the west coast of Africa to Europe, through the Americas, back to Africa. So it's transatlantic. It was a triangle slave trade. So we fit the prophecies. There are a ton of prophecies that prove in the Bible that the children of Israel will be in a downtrodden state, would not know who they are, having their identity taken away, as it says in Psalms chapter 83, that they have gathered together and said, let us cut off the name of Yisrael so that name will be no more in remembrance. So what they're saying is, let's cut off the name Yisrael from the Israelites, because if we cut off the knowledge of who they are, then that name Yisrael can be no longer in their remembrance. And we can get the actual fact from, once again, the Willie Lynch letter, and we can look at our history and show and prove that these things happened to us. That they exactly, as the scripture says, would happen, being brought into slavery in ships, and being sold to your enemy as male and female slaves. That happened. That's biblical. Prison population. That happened. Biblical. The book of Isaiah, chapter 51, verse 20, says, as your sons have fainted, they lie at the head of all the way as a wild bull in the net. So it says that your sons have fainted. Fainted means to fall unconscious. When you're unconscious, you have no knowledge of anything that's going on around you. You don't know because you have no conscience. So when you faint, you are unconscious. So the Most High is saying your sons have fainted. It says that they lie at the head of the way. The head of the way is what we call today the corner. The head of every way, the head of every street. Before you come on any street, any block, you got to come up the corner first. So he said that they are lying on the corners, going buck wild. A wild bull in the net is called going buck wild. So you look out into the community and you see who has the young men hanging out on the streets going wild, as a wild bull in the net. So I'm just giving you a slight briefing on how we are the children of Israel based by nationality. We have nothing to do with religion. The Most High did not give us a religion to follow. He gave us a way of life. Just like every other nation has a way of life, we were to come to them and tell them, hey, what y'all living, that's the way y'all living, that is wrong. This is how the Most High wants man to live. So the Most High gave us his ways through his laws, his statutes, his judgments, his instructions, his commandments, and we were to take it to the world. And so we are, once again, and I cannot say this enough, we are a nation. So many people take us as a religion. We have nothing to do with religion. We're talking about redeeming ourselves first. I want to close out with this. Do you understand one of the great reasons why those organizations that started in the 60s did not succeed? I'm talking about the Nation of Islam included. It's because they did not transform themselves into the ways of the Most High. They did not begin the revolution with self. They tried to change everything around them without changing self. Self was still a slave. Self was still in Master's hand. But self was made to believe that it was outside of Master's hand. Because when we come back to the Most High Yah, then we have left Master. That's why when we come out of this system and we come into the Most High system, we change our last names. We change it back from Jones, Brown, Johnson, Williams to Yisrael, as it states in the book of Isaiah chapter 44, verse 5, because we are the Israelites. The slave master gave us his name because it signified that we belong to him. It's just like when a woman goes get married and she takes on her husband's last name because her husband now owns her. She is her husband. She belongs to her husband. So when they gave us their last names, that signified that they owned us. We belong to them. Now we're free from that. And we have returned, and we Hebrew Israelites are returning to the Most High. We're giving them their names back, among other things. We're giving them their fornication back. We're giving them their wild party and their drunkenness. We're giving them all that stuff that has kept us down as a people for centuries. We're giving all that back to them and saying we don't need any of it. We're going with the Most High, and we're going with his ways. Love, truth, justice, righteousness, long-suffering. You know, these are the things that are going to bring forth good fruit, and that's what we're transforming our lives into. So the revolution has begun. And the revolution will be televised because the world will see this change that's about to take place. And it's going to start with the so-called African-American Negro and spread out to the rest of the world, and it has begun. The rest of the world is catching on, and they're starting to see, hey, what we've been worshiping, what we've been saying, what we've been doing all this time has been a lie? You mean this very Bible that I've been reading all my life, those are not the stories like the preacher told me that they were? You mean that the things that the Messiah has said and the way the preacher explained them was all a lie? Absolutely. This is great wealth and great truth, but first you have to get understanding from the Most High. If you don't get his understanding, you're just reading black words on a white page. So I will see you when I see you again. May the Most High be blessed. His name is Yah. His son's name is Yahoshua. I'm going to leave you in peace. Shalom.